You guys know I love talking about losing body fat. I mean, let's face it, there are literally thousands of different benefits when it comes to lowering your body fat percentage. Everything from more energy, to more confidence, to more sex drive, to just most importantly, living longer. So I figured for today's video, why don't we talk all about losing body fat? When I say all, I literally mean everything. So here's what we're going to uncover in today's episode. We're first going to dive into the difference between losing body fat and losing weight. And then we're going to get right into fat loss expectations and then go into, hey, what are some different trends based upon your body type? So that way you know exactly how you're progressing on your fat loss journey. I'm going to dive into the 7 key tips that's going to help you on your fat loss journey so that way you know what to do properly. And these are the 7 key tips that we actually help our members with inside of our coaching program at Heartletics. And then lastly, what to do if you ever hit a plateau on your fat loss journey so that way you know exactly what to do and how to break past that plateau to continue on. You guys are tuning in for the very first time, welcome. My name is Coach Joe. I'm the CEO and head coach of Heartletics. And since 2017, I've been helping thousands of guys lose body fat, build muscle, so that way they have more confidence, have more energy, the whole 9 yards. And the best part is, over 500 of them have actually been able to get off their high blood pressure, high cholesterol medications, and even lower their A1C levels and reverse their type 2 diabetes. If you want any more information, I have a completely free training guide going over the 5 best fat loss tips for you to follow, and you can access that on the first link in the description box down below. Now let's dive into the difference between losing body fat and losing weight. Now everybody wants to see the number on the scale go down, but at the end of the day, just because you're losing weight and that number is decreasing, it doesn't mean that you're actually losing the body fat. I know plenty of guys that cut out their carbs or they follow a low-calorie diet and they end up losing a whole bunch of weight, but their body fat percentage pretty much stays the same. It's discouraging for them because they're still walking around with the man boobs and the spare tire that's around their gut. Just want to be honest with you because at the end of the day, I want you to have success on your fat loss journey. I don't care about seeing the number on the scale go down. It's more about how you look and more about how you feel. That's what matters the most. Let me educate you. When you're following a keto or a low carbohydrate diet, you're mainly losing water weight. You're not losing a lot of body fat. Now you may think that because immediately when you start cutting out your carbs, you see the number on the scale drop. But once again, fat loss and weight loss are 2 separate things. A good analogy that I want you to think about is whatever happens if you drop your phone into some water. You're supposed to take that phone and put it into a bowl of rice. That rice is going to extract the water all out of the phone so that way it can start working properly again. Well, it works the same way within our bodies. If we're not eating the rice, if we're not eating the pasta, if we're not eating the breads and the other carbohydrates, essentially, we're not holding on to that water anymore. We're not holding on to that glycogen. That's because 1 gram of carbs retains 3 to 4 grams of water. So just keep that in mind the next time somebody tells you to follow a keto or a low carb diet. What happens if you follow a low calorie diet? Essentially, if you're not fueling your body properly with enough macronutrients, you're going to be losing weight once again. That weight loss could actually be a loss in muscle, and that's not what you want. We always like to educate our members that food equals fuel, and you got to make sure you're eating properly enough to actually lose the body fat. So if you're not eating enough of the right foods, once again, you could be losing all your hard-earned muscle. And that, my friends, is a recipe for disaster because all you're going to be doing is slowing down your metabolism at that point. Unfortunately, this is what a lot of guys do. They'll go to Google, they'll go to YouTube, they'll follow a keto or a carnivore or a paleo or a fasting fad diet that's out there, and unfortunately, it ends up being a lot more harmful than good for them. So you're probably wondering yourself, well, Joe, how do I actually lose the body fat? And we'll get to that here in a little bit when I go over the 7 key tips for you. Before we dive into that, let's first talk about some expectations when it comes to losing body fat. Everybody wants to develop their midsection and get rid of the gut, right? Who doesn't want to walk around with 6-pack abs? But at the end of the day, you really need to understand fat loss expectations because if you don't, it could be a recipe for self-sabotage. Majority of people actually look at themselves in the mirror just to see if they're progressing or not. Let's face it, I do it all the time. But here's the thing, if you're only looking at your midsection to see if you're progressing or not, you're doing yourself a disservice. Here's how it actually works when it comes to losing body fat. You're first going to lose more fat in your face, and then it's going to be in your shoulders, your arms, your upper chest, your upper back, your legs, and then your lower chest, and then finally your midsection. That's just how it works. You'll never see somebody with fat arms, fat face, fat chin, fat man boobs, fat legs, and six-pack abs, right? That person does not exist unless you're playing Grand Theft Auto and you're creating it as a video game character. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because, once again, I want you to have realistic expectations on your fat loss journey. A great analogy to help you understand. Think about if you had a big pool and you had a bucket and you're on the outside of the pool, right? You're taking that bucket, you're dumping it into the water, and then you're tossing it outside of the pool. And you continue to do that for the next 30 minutes. Well, what's going to happen to that pool? Is it all of a sudden just going to be, flat water and then this big dip where the area that you're actually tossing the water outside the pool is, and it's just defying the laws of gravity? Absolutely not. All the water is going to come down at once. That's how it works when it comes to you on your fat loss journey. Now, to help you out, let me explain 3 different fat loss trends so that way you know, based upon your body type, how you're actually progressing. Once again, if you want access to my free fat loss training guide, just click on the link down below and it's going to be the first link in the description box. Hopefully you're getting some value from this video, and if you are, definitely give it a thumbs up, and also make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. I would greatly appreciate it if you did. Keep in mind that fat loss is not linear, and I'm going to repeat that one more time so that way you understand the importance of it. Fat loss is not linear. Even if you're doing all the right workouts and hitting your macros, fat loss is once again not linear. And that's why it's best to understand your trends based upon your body type. There are 3 different fat loss trends, and as long as you're recording your data, you're going to be able to easily figure out which trends is for your body type. The first trend is when you lose some body fat and then you hit a little stall. You lose some more fat, you hit a stall. You lose even more fat, you hit a stall. You lose even more fat. The second trend is when you lose some body fat, you gain some body fat, lose some body fat, gain some body fat, lose some body fat, gain some body fat, lose some body fat. And the third trend is kind of like myself, where I'll actually lose some body fat and then I'll hit a little stall, or I'll actually gain some body fat and then lose even more body fat, and then either gain some body fat or hit another stall and then lose some more body fat after that. Regardless of which trend is for your body type, keep in mind, as long as you don't give up, you're eventually going to continue to lose body fat and reach your goals. And I'll go over with you what to do if you ever hit a stall or a plateau, but first, let me explain with you the 7 key tips that's really going to help you on your fat loss journey. And these are the 7 key tips that we help our members inside of our coaching program use since 2017. The free fat loss training guide that you can actually download, that's on the link below, it's actually going to go over more details about these 7 key tips, but let me give you the general overview. The first key tip is eating in a healthy calorie deficit. I understand that you may be thinking it's calories in versus calories out, but once again, if you're under eating and not eating enough of the right foods, you could be losing some muscle. And that's why it's so important that if you want to lose body fat, you got to make sure that you're eating in a healthy calorie deficit. Not too little, not too much. The second key tip is your macros, which is another word for just saying macronutrients, which is your proteins, your carbs, and your fats. Let me educate you. Don't worry or stress too much about the carbs or the fats, right? Whether you're high carb, low carb, high fat, low fat, really doesn't matter too much when it comes to losing body fat. What you should focus on is eating enough protein. Play it safe, just take your body weight and multiply it by 1 and eat that many grams of protein each and every day. The third tip is strength training. This can be done either at the gym or it can be done at home with or without equipment. But you got to make sure that once again, you are focusing on training your body properly. I'm sure you heard this before. If you don't use it, you'll lose it. Well, it works very similar with your muscles. You got to make sure that you're developing them. You got to make sure that you're focusing on progressive overload. You got to make sure that you're following a plan that's personalized for your body type, but also for your schedule, so that way you have an easier time staying consistent. The fourth tip is NEAT, which stands for Non-Exercise Activity Thermogenesis, and this is our form of cardio. You see, a lot of the guys that we help and coach, they'll either have bad knees, bad backs, bad shoulders, bad ankles, and let's face it, a lot of them just don't even like to do cardio. Personally, for myself, I'm not a big fan of cardio either. So instead, we focus on non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And an easy tip on how we like to help out our members is by just giving them a step goal that they can accomplish each and every day. For some members, that might be 5,000 steps. For others, it might be 8,000. For some, it might be 10,000 steps. You got to find a good sweet spot that's helping you lose the body fat, but also it's getting your butt off the chair. Because if you're way too sedentary, whether that's at work or whether it's right at home, that's going to lead to eventually back problems. That's going to lead to low energy levels, and And that's also going to lead to just bad habits, to where maybe you're not being the best role model for your kids or for your loved ones because they constantly see you just sitting down on the couch watching TV. Get up and get moving, because that's going to lead to you losing more body fat. The fifth tip is hydration, which is very underrated. And at the end of the day, if you really think about it, our bodies are over 70% water anyways. When we're drinking more water, we're essentially going to be losing more body fat as well. I recommend you try your best to at least have 4 liters of water or around a gallon a day. Now, the sixth and the seventh tip is very important, so make sure that you pay close attention. The sixth tip is stress management, which is so important. You know, stress is the #1 killer that's out there, and with a lot of guys, they struggle with that. It might be stress at work, it might be stress at home, it might be stress due to finances, or maybe a stress due to an injury or a sickness, anything like that. Stress comes from all different types of forms. And how to manage that stress is so important, because when life is throwing you curveballs, you really need to understand how to roll with the punches so that way you don't take a left hook to the face. And this is where we really help out our members when it comes to community, support, accountability, and the proper mindset to give them the guidance to help them through those stressful situations. And the seventh and final tip is recovery, which is once again very underrated but so important. Let's just say you're crushing into the gym, but you're not eating properly, or you're not hydrating yourself properly, or you're not sleeping properly for recovery. Once again, you're going to be spiking your cortisol levels, which is your body's natural stress hormone. When you're underneath a lot of stress or you're not recovering your body properly, guess what? It's going to be making it very hard for yourself to lose the body fat. Let's just say that you have those 7 key tips dialed in. Well, hey, what happens if you do ever hit a stall or a plateau? For starters, let's talk about what a plateau truly is. Just because you're seeing the number on the scale not going down after 1 or 2 weeks does not mean that you're in a plateau. Remember what I said earlier? Fat loss is not linear. Remember also what I said? The number on the scale is the least important variable. Let's say your clothes are feeling better, you have more energy, you're lifting heavier weights in the gym. Guess what? You're progressing still, even if you see the number on the scale not going down. Because let's face it, muscle weighs more than fat. Think about it. If you're eating more protein and lifting heavier weights, you could be in this process of developing more muscle, which is actually a good sign, because that's going to essentially help you speed up your metabolism even more, so that way you can lose more body fat. So don't just judge to say if you haven't lost any weight in 1 or 2 weeks that you're in a plateau, because you never know what's going on underneath the surface. You never know what's going on inside of your body. Nobody got fat overnight or in a week, so don't expect to see the results that you want to happen overnight either. This is all about learning how to create sustainable habits. This is all about you learning what works best for your body type. Now, if let's say it's been about 3 to 5 weeks and you have not seen any changes at all, meaning your energy levels are still the same, you're not progressing anymore in the gym with your workouts, your measurements are still the same, your body fat percentage is still the same, and the weight on the scale is still the same, then yes, you may be in a plateau. And here's exactly what you should do to break out of that. First piece of advice is don't cut out or go any lower on your calories. I see so many guys do that time and time again, and once again, they're just kind of shooting themselves in the foot. If all you did was continue to just cut out your calories and go lower and lower and lower, you're eventually going to hit the bottom of the barrel, where once again, you're not going to be eating enough of the right foods, and then it's going to be self-sabotage because you're actually going to be slowing down your metabolism. From there, you need to focus on a reverse diet to actually speed up your metabolic rate and get it to a healthier state again. Here's my recommendation. See if you can add in any more form of activity. It's always easier to add something in rather than just take something away, like cut out the calories. So just ask yourself, can you add in another day of strength training? Can you add in more steps? Can you add in more push-ups? Can you add in more sit-ups? Anything that's going to help you just be more active. Keep in mind what I said earlier about those 7 key tips, especially number 6 and number 7. If let's say you're underneath a lot of stress and your cortisol levels are spiked, hey, that could be causing you to hit a plateau. If let's just say you're not recovering your body properly, so you're not eating enough of the right foods, you're not drinking enough water, you're not getting enough sleep, once again, that could be causing you to hit a plateau. Let's just say you're good on those 7 key tips, and also you added in enough activity and you're still fighting with this plateau on your fat loss journey, then here's what you should do next. Make a small little adjustment with your macros. I recommend just increasing your protein and maybe decreasing the carbs just a tad. Give that a few weeks and see if it helps. Once again, if you want access to my free training guide that's going to have a step-by-step plan for you to follow that's going to help you lose fat and build muscle, you can simply just click on the first link down below in the description box. Appreciate you guys staying to the very end of today's video. I know it was a long one, but once again, I wanted to uncover everything when it comes to losing body fat just to help you out. Do me a favor and give this video a thumbs up, and also leave a comment down below letting me know your biggest takeaway. And once again, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, I would greatly appreciate it if you did. As always, guys, this has been Coach Joe with Heartletics.com, and I will talk to you in the next episode. Peace out, Girl Scouts.